While it's not a bad mood per se, yes, per se, my irritability is higher. But it's not as high as it could be because irritability requires energy.
Anthony Joshua, the vehicle, toured. You never know how quickly it can be taken.
This is a brain rot special.
Tiamat cooking in the basement.
Why you shouldn't get shredded. Now, many people, it's their life goal. I want to be single-digit body fat, but remember, careful what you wish for. Case in point, Mr. Mike. He essentially went Frankenstein, removing his fat cells, his excess skin, abusing drugs, for example, Reta, terzipatide, you name it, as well as performance-enhancing drugs, all to give him the advantage. To be able to get down to 6% body fat year-round. But what is life actually like at that level? Now, I already knew this. I've been under 6% body fat a number of times, at least 10, number of bodybuilding competitions. But I can tell you, if that I were paid $1 billion to maintain 5% body fat year-round, I wouldn't do it. It wouldn't be worth it. I would hate my life. And so, please, believe me, I'm not making this shit up. And so when I watched Mike's video, I was thinking, yep, all of that is true. It's in fact worse than some of the things he's explaining. And so if you're thinking, oh, life would be better if I only could get shredded, it most likely would get worse. You might think you look great, you look in the mirror and that's amazing, and all of that is true, but you are going to feel like dog shit or even worse. And so please, if you want to know what it's like to be shredded, let's watch the video together.
Because remember, getting to 6% sucked. But I thought staying at 6% could be like, okay. It wasn't.
And so what I've been telling people for years is that it's harder to maintain being shredded than it is to get there. You're thinking, well, that isn't true. Dieting down, you're in a calorie deficit, and once I get to that level of shreds, I can just increase my calorie level and I'll be fine. Nope, it's worse. Why do you think every bodybuilder after a competition gains back body fat? If it was so easy to maintain it, why not just maintain 5% body fat year-round? Because it sucks. Everything about it. And so remember, Mike maintains 6% body fat while eating 3,500 calories. Most of you probably gonna have to eat 2,000, perhaps 2,500, and you're probably gonna have to do a lot of cardio. And so consider that Mr. Mike is supposed to be a leading expert in the world. He has all the advantages, the drugs, the money, the butlers, everything at his disposal, but yet he couldn't maintain being that lean.
But if you're already jogging and you've been jogging for like 30 minutes and you don't have that much endurance, you're at your limit of jogging speed.
As if Mike could jog for 30 minutes. We saw him, couldn't even jog a half a mile. Bro gets tired like no other. And so the anxiety, which most likely is stemming from the use of steroids, but it's also going to come in play of thinking about food. When you're this lean, your brain only wants to think about food and more food. You don't have energy, you feel bad, and so your life revolves around when do I get to eat, and that is not good.
Even multi-hour drives, which really aren't that tough, at 6% fat, these tasks seem insurmountable.
And so, hard tasks, like going for a drive in your Lamborghini, that is a nightmare. I'm not at 10 to 15% body fat, I'm at 6. And so the thought of having to drive a vehicle, it's too much. Mike isn't kidding here. Now, I remember having to get my friends to drive me to the gym. I was not safe on the road. I couldn't pay attention. I had no energy. Shoulder checks, that was too much work. And so when he says driving becomes difficult, he ain't lying.
I was driving and I was dieting for a bodybuilding show and I was underground and I was going to a turn and I just turned too quickly and I hit into one of those cement pillars. This is just from dieting.
It's kind of funny in retrospect to doubt that if you're actually going to be able to drive a car for 3 hours, but this shit hits for real.
And so imagine having a job, like actual work, not just like recording a video, but having to work 9 to 5. 9 to 5. Perhaps you're a mailman, a school teacher, as I was. Do you know how hard it is to put a smile on your face and educate students and pretend that you're happy? Present that you have energy. Well, dieting to this level, it's very, very hard.
That's what she said.
Hey folks, Dr. Mike here, Therapy Strong.
All of my thoughts, if I'm left to my own devices just thinking about anything long enough, will eventually snake back towards thinking about food.
Even while using GLPs, his mind was still around food. Yeah, it reduces your appetite, but eventually it's too much. And so even if you're not feeling hungry, you're still thinking, I need to eat. You don't have enough energy, as regardless of what the GLPs are doing, if your body fat goes too low, you don't have the energy, you're not gonna wanna go for a walk, you're not gonna wanna go for a hike. You simply wanna sit down in your chair and do absolutely nothing. And that includes having sexy time, watching porn, looking at girls, nothing. I've stated before in the past, I was doing an interview with Alex Eubank, and I'd stated, there were months on end where I never went to completion ever. Never thought of it, never desired it. I was too lean, I wasn't eating enough. And so your desires for having sexy time or even looking at a beautiful woman goes out the window. Life, it doesn't matter other than getting food.
And your brain too, if you get lean enough, is so good at keeping your priorities straight for you from a baseline evolutionary need perspective.
It's like the hierarchy of needs. You first need food, shelter, clothing, things to keep you alive. Then you need love, and at the top, self-actualization. And so if you're not eating enough, the body recognizes this and says, yeah, bro, you're not gonna look at art, museums, you're not doing any of that shit. The only thing that's going in your mind is, when are you gonna feed us next? It comes down to survival. And so when you're shredded, the only thing that matters is you surviving.
But the thoughts of food, the mild obsession with food still persists. And I wouldn't have known that had I not gotten and stayed at this body fat for long enough.
And so, of course, he would have known that if he would have watched Coach Greg's videos, but why would he do that? Mike wants to experience everything on his own, spend thousands of dollars on surgeries, getting the fat cells sucked out, when he could have just watched my videos to learn everything he needs to know. Now, if you want to reduce your hunger, you can, of course, get GLP Max. You can get that on my website, code unemployed for 20% off, code Greg for 15% off. You can go to Algorex. You can get various GLPs, testosterone, enclomiphene. The list goes on and on. Remember, code Greg to save you some money.
I get a physical energy crash about 3 hours after I eat almost any meal.
Which is why you carry around a Seco bar. Remember these bars which Mr. Mike, he liked himself? He said they had structural integrity, and so they do in fact taste very good. They're getting 9 to 9.5 to 10 ratings. And so if you're interested in this, you can get it for code CICO for 50% off. It's cheaper than Costco, guys. Don't say I didn't do anything for you.
The Kaiko bar from HTLT.
Macros, 6 fat, 33 carb, 20 protein.
Not bad. Great macros. It definitely has structural integrity. Thank you, Greg.
And so you walk around with a Seco bar if you're hungry. Of course, you have a snack. You don't want to starve yourself for too long. And so if you plan ahead, you have a Seco bar, and of course, eating from my cookbook, you're going to be able to get leaner than last time, but maintaining 6%, trust me, it ain't it.
Like one foot in front of the other goes from seamless to like, oh my God, this is really tough. And staircase climbing, forget about it.
And so many of you are watching this and you cannot relate. Myself, I'm agreeing with this. Remember, if Mr. Mike says something that I agree, I'm gonna back him up. Literally, I'm in shape. I've always been fit. I did triathlons, but when I was dieting down, when I was shredded at 6%, for example, every single time I had to go for a walk, it was a nightmare. Walking the dogs, love it. It's fun. I'm on a diet now, nightmare. Well, better take some pre-workout, better get amped up because I have to go for a 30-minute walk, a slow walk. That is hard. And speaking of hard, this is never hard, ever. Why would it? Your body doesn't want to procreate when there is no source of food, and so it stops signaling signals to think about wanting to do things, to get it to be harder than last time. And so You most certainly are going to want to pick up some harder than last time. You know what that's for. And that doesn't even just happen at 6%. Even if it's at 10, you're going to gradually start having more difficulties. And so please thank me later.
Thank you, Greg.
Why would I ask them to thank me later? Whoa.
What the fuck? I have to remember to take care of my sexual needs, if you know what I mean, because otherwise my organ will start to become in a state of disuse. And if I use it again, if you know what I mean, it gets irritated. Bet you wanted to know that about my organ.
Nope. Didn't want to know that, but yet we do. And so Mike has to use his organ, the piano, at least every other day, because if he doesn't use it for a week, it gets all crusty and hard to use and becomes a problem. I've never had that problem, but hey, it's good to know. And so, hey guys, I guess this is another reason I've never had that problem. If I don't use said device, said piano, it's all right. Yeah, I don't need to do that. No, that doesn't happen. And yeah, it is weird.
Sex stuff can still happen in this state, and has. Oh boy, I got sex. But it is a shadow of its former self.
And so essentially, if you and your girlfriend, you died down for a competition and you both look the best you've ever looked, you're probably not going to want to do anything with each other because you're so lean, you don't have any energy. It becomes work. You're thinking, this is so fun, and you love it, and you have memories of how fun it was, kind of like when Mr. Mike had memories of looking at that pond and actually liking it.
Pond and these trees, and I know that I like looking at them, but it's a memory to me. I go work out every morning and I look at the pond and the trees and I'm like all I feel is rage.
But when it comes to sexy time, it's so much effort. You're thinking, no, I'd rather just sleep. And so another reason not to get shredded.
Kind of like what they used to be this part of me that like nice ladies, and some guys, many guys, most guys, all guys.
Why does Mike always have to tell us about his preferences for gay men? And frankly, they don't even have to be gay.
Many guys, most guys, all guys.
Why are we putting that in there? I'll tell you why. The best thing some people think they can do is to hide in plain sight. You know, if you're attracted to men and you don't want people to know about it and you joke about being attracted to men all the time, it's hiding in plain sight. You're joking about it. Then if somebody jokes about it back, says, oh, I think you like men, you say, yeah, I do. But then you're covering it up by acting like it's a joke when we know that it is not.
Here's point number 6. This one is really interesting, and I actually had a very productive talk with ChatGPT.
Chatting with ChatGPT, suboptimal, no actual human connection. Why can't Mike talk with humans?
On food, training, work, sleep, getting steps in, and sitting down to some TV at night. That's my whole aperture in this state.
And so essentially, all he thinks about is food, gym, training, sleep. That's it. All of a sudden, it's changed the game.
That's it. Yeah. So all of a sudden, that changed the game.
And so, is there a war going on over here? Or there's something going on over there? I'm here. When do I eat next? How many minutes of cardio do I have left? That's it. You can't think, you can't have fun, you can't go on vacation, you can't date people. It's just, I'm here until my show is over. And Mike is doing this, and he doesn't even have a competition. He's doing this for fun, for vibes. I've warned him, I've told people, be careful to get too lean. And this is not even in show condition. Mike is at 6% body fat. Almost everyone is going to agree that it's not quite 6%. And so imagine if he dieted down like that of an IFBB Pro. Let's call it 4%. Do you know how much harder it is to go from 6 to 4? 2% body fat. It doesn't sound like much, but when you only have 6, that's a third of your fat that you have to lose. Whatever you are at 6, it's like it's logarithmic. It gets even worse.
If it's not training or activity or work or food related, I can barely shake myself interested in it.
It becomes work, guys. You're on vacation and your friends say, let's walk down to the beach. You're thinking, yeah, but that involves walking down to the beach. Let's go eat. Well, that involves walking to go eat. And I can't eat half the things that I'm seeing. And so why would I want to go eat? Oh, you're all drinking alcohol? Well, I don't drink. Of course, there's too many calories. And so all the time, if you're not sleeping, if you haven't just gotten Blue Lobster, you have no energy. Now, artificially, with the pre-workouts, such as the Blue Lobster, of which you can get at HLT supplements, you can use code Greg or code unemployed, you get a bit of energy. And so you muster up the courage to go and finish a half-ass workout of which you barely could lift anything. You're way weaker, but you did look freaking good in the gym. The pump, it was kind of there once you carved up, and your only carbs before the gym that actually made any difference. And once you were in the gym and you had the caffeine flowing, you felt a little good. You look great. That's it. You look good for 1 hour. You feel good for perhaps 2, including the caffeine, until it starts to wear off. And that is the highlight of your day. You wake up in the morning, you hit a few poses, you're peeled. That makes you feel good. The diet's working, but you have no energy.
I thought, okay, at maintenance at 6%, I'm eating 400 grams of carbs a day at 3,500 calories. We get some pumps. And they were good, but they weren't great.
The pumps are good, but they're not great. Kind of like your sex life. Even if you do have sexy time, it's not as good as if you had carbs. It's diminished. Kind of like having sex if you're used to having, for example, Cialis to do this, or Viagra, and you can get that at Algorex. Or perhaps you're using some edibles, you're getting in some of that THC, and you're doing that prior to having sexy time. And you notice how enhanced it is. Now imagine that you're always in a deficit. You're always dieting. 6% body fat, that is the same as sexy time. When you go back to eating more, and you go back to a normal healthy body fat percentage, for example, 10%, it's night and day different. Life is better. It's as if being at a normal body fat percentage, it's like feeling enhanced. You're thinking, no, if I use performance enhancing drugs, steroids, and I get shredded, I'll feel amazing all the time. I was on steroids for 10 years. You think I was on small doses? And I was below 6% body fat many times. Never once did it feel good. Did it look good? Absolutely. That's the only thing that kept me going. Because every single other thing in my life when being that shredded is a nightmare.
While it's not a bad mood per se, my irritability is higher. But it's not as high as it could be because irritability requires energy.
And so he doesn't even have enough energy to demonstrate that he's in a bad mood. If you meet this guy, you'd think, wow, he's an introvert. He's very quiet. He's boring. He's not the life of the party. But meanwhile, if you were actually eating, you'd be a completely different human. And so many people say steroids changes a person. Absolutely. But to an even greater degree, food changes a person. If you don't have any food, you're stumbling on your words. You can't speak. Speaking is effortful. Is that even a word? It's effortful to speak. You are struggling. You have to project your voice. You want to whisper, you don't want to engage. Thinking is hard. And so that is what dieting is really like.
Getting my phone out of my pocket, pointing it at the landmark we're passing in the Uber, clicking the photograph, sending it to friends seems insurmountable.
And so imagine, even sending a DM or sharing a reel, that becomes just too much work. It's too hard. You look around, you see some exciting, normally you'd say, hey, look at those two people, what they're doing. No, it's too hard. I'm just gonna sit here quietly and not interact.
Or on vacation or something, or friends in town, family in town, don't schedule a bunch of tours, don't schedule late hangouts, don't go to museums unless it's like one of 2 activities that day.
And so Mike's advice to solve these problems is, if you're lean, just pretty much cancel life. Don't do anything. Just eat, train, sleep, repeat. That's it. Don't go on vacation. Don't have friends. Don't talk to people. Don't do work. Don't have a job. Don't make money. Don't interact. Don't date girls. Don't read a book. Everything is too hard. He's not lying. And so you can have one of 2 things. You can have fun and have a life, or you can be shredded.
Choose.
Retatrutide is a miracle drug for increasing physical and mental energy in a deficit and at a low body fat.
So Mike ends by saying, Retta is a miracle drug that's going to save the world. Even with Retta, this is going to happen. If you get too lean, I don't care what you're taking, this is how you're going to feel. Now, am I against people using Ozempic, tirzepatide, and Retta? No. Is Retta actually legally available for people? No, it's a research chemical. What about Ozempic tirzepatide? Yes. Now, does Algorex have any of these substances? Yes. But they don't do research chemicals. They don't have Retta. And so if you're interested in getting some help, getting your blood work done, seeing what you need, you could perhaps get a GLP. Maybe you need enclomiphene or testosterone. Maybe your testosterone levels are too low. Remember, when you diet down really low, your testosterone levels also go low. And so that could be the problem. But I'm not a favor of abuse. Most people who I talk to, I'm also coaching people, oftentimes they're trying to take too much of said substances, and that causes unwanted side effects. And so use the GLPs only, of course, with the advice of consent of your doctor. And when you do so, take the lowest dose that makes you happy. None of this, I want to lose 2 and 3 and 4 pounds a week. Try to lose 1. Try to lose it slower than last time. By not eating in such a great deficit, you're not going to lose as much muscle, you're going to have more energy, you're going to feel good, and it's more sustainable. It's also going to be less expensive. And so rather than using the doses that they are recommending, which are often way too high, use the lowest dose and keep it low for a long time. As long as you're losing weight, the thing is working, and so why not keep using that low dose until it doesn't work anymore, and then at that point, then increase the doses. And so if you're out there and you're using Ozempic and they're saying to use 0.25 a day, remember semaglutide, and they say, yeah, after this many weeks, you got to be 0.5. After this many weeks, double it up to 1. After this many weeks, you got to take 2. No. Why not use 0.25 the entire time if that's what you need? Hey, if it's not enough, go up a little bit. Does it have to double? No. Why does it have to go up to 0.5 from 0.25? Why not go up to 0.375? Why don't we go up in smaller increments? It's the same as TRT. If you're on 100 and you need more, are you going to go to 200? Why not go to 120? Does that make sense? And so even though, of course, I make more money if you buy more products, I want you to use the lowest amount that you need. Does that make sense, people? And so don't just jump on these drugs because people are saying they're miracles, this, miracles, that. Use them at the lowest dose because they can and will, for many people, have negative side effects. Not everyone can use them. A lot of people get stomach aches, they're getting cramps, they're getting nausea. It's reducing the fun that they have on this earth. You remember, you're reducing the dopamine, the food. It doesn't feel as good when you eat it. And so one of life's pleasures is in fact food, is in fact having sexy time. It can reduce your desires to go shopping, to have alcohol, to use recreational substances. It can be good and it can be bad. And so please be careful. Remember, Algorex, code Greg, 10% off. And so, of course, you can get the cookbook. It's going to help you to be leaner than last time. Low-calorie, delicious foods for the big eater. If you're interested in being sponsored, click the link. Coaching plans, me and my team, the link. Carrying all the supplements in your stores, Jim, the link. Apply. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algo for Algo RX of watch one of those 2 bloops. And until next time, I am out.